Crimson. Anyway, hello everyone. Tubasa here with another video. Today, I finally get to talk about my experience playing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64. And oh god, it's it's a doozy. So, first off, I have played a little bit of it a long time ago because I have it on my Wii, but then when I got a Wii U, I transported my data from my Wii to my Wii U, and for those of you who don't know, the controller ports for the Wii are different from the Wii U. So I didn't have any means of playing Majora's Mask for a really, really long time, and all the data on my Wii got wiped. I don't know why. But once this week came around, or I guess last week, I was like, you know what? I should go see with this free time that I have before work starts. I should see if I can find a way to play Majora's Mask and complete it. And I did. It took a bit of going back and forth between the gaming shop because originally I bought a Wii U adapter to plug my own controller that I had in. And then when I started up the game, it said, no, you need to plug it into your Wii remote. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, we got a Wii remote that hooks into a controller. So I played that way. But I reset my game because I didn't know where I was in the game. I wanted to make sure that I was starting fresh so I can get a full-on experience of how Majora's Mask plays out. And let me tell you, Majora's Mask, hands down, one of the best Legend of Zelda games that I've played. It's in my top 3. My number 1 currently, and now mind you, I haven't played Twilight Princess. I played a little bit of it. I got stuck at the Lost Woods as a kid at like age 11 and then stopped playing because whenever I get stuck at something, I don't play it for a long time, and then I'm like, why do I play this? Why do I have this game still? Let me sell it to GameStop. Anyway, Majora's Mask is for sure in my top 3 out of the ones that I have played so far. Number 1 might be Spirit Tracks. Now you might be like, why is that? Well, it's the one Legend of Zelda that actually got me into the Legend of Zelda in the first place. It was the first one I ever played. Go figure, it's because of trains, and as a kid, I was highly into trains. Hey guys, Editing Tubasa here. Let's not forget about Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Those are probably my actual 1 and 2 top. I personally would put Tears of the Kingdom over Breath of the Wild just because I really enjoyed the depths. I like the Sky Islands. And the music, hands down, is amazing, as always. So, Majora's Mask is probably within the top 5, I would say. For sure. 100% in the top 5. Because the other one that would be in there besides Spirit Tracks would be, Link Between Worlds. So, play with that in your head for a while. Now, Majora's Mask. Let's get into it. Amazing. Oh, so great. But I have some complaints about it. And let me get them out of the way. So, first thing, some of the stuff in that game is very obscure, and they don't tell you anything about it or teach you about it, like some mechanics in the game. For instance, when you're rolling as a Goron, you originally have to press forward, and the longer you press forward, you'll eventually charge up and it'll start spinning with spikes. I originally thought you still have to press forward when you're in spike mode. However, that's not the case. You can actually just let go of your motion and it'll just keep driving forward for you. Now, I didn't realize this until, I kid you not, one of the last rooms in the game where you have to play as a Goron and you have to bounce off these chests on the moon. Little weird thing. Now, it was stuff like that where it never explicitly said you could do something like this, and so for me at least, it was a moment where I was like, oh, I guess this is something where I just had to mess around long enough until I figured out that, oh, you can do this in the game, which isn't bad. I mean, I do like that you can always experiment. I mean, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are great ways to mess around with the game physics and the combinations and stuff, and I love doing that. But I feel like there's a fundamental difference between those two, where in Majora's Mask, the stuff that you're trying to find are fundamental to solving the puzzle or the issue, whereas in Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, it's more so you're doing it for fun, because it doesn't drive anything plot-wise or solving a puzzle-wise, unless you have some obscure and elaborate way to get a Korok seed, I guess. So that's one of my complaints is a lot of it was obscure. Like the All Night Mask had no clue that like, you have to save the old lady, and then you have to wait till the night of the third day and then buy it with 500 rubies. No clue that that mask existed, and that was the way to get it. Now, I could go around and read all of the truth stones or the shrines. My only issue with that is there's a lot, and secondly, I just want to get things done like a checklist. Like when I was playing Majora's Mask, I was playing for hours on end. I just wanted to get to that 100%. And funnily enough, and somewhat related to the game, is I've completed Majora's Mask under 3 real life days, which is wild. But my whole sleep schedule got thrown off because of it. It was terrible. I literally was up until 8 in the morning and then took a nap from 8 to 12 because my sleep schedule was so thrown off. But I did complete it within 3 days. That, I feel like that was about my only complaint, is that a lot of the stuff was obscure, and I mean, for me personally, I have issues like when I'm reading guides, and I did use guides multiple times because once I wanted to I go through the dungeons as I wish. Like, I'm not going to use guides for the dungeons, except for one, which I'll get into in a second. But I want to experience the dungeons, like the main part of the puzzle in the game, how it's presented, like raw. But when it comes to finding like heart pieces and maybe potentially having to plan out like a mask, such as the couple's mask, which takes a lot of different, they kind of line it out for you actually when I was going through it in the game, but I wanted to make sure I looked at it beforehand so I wasn't going to screw up anything, and I technically did. I had to do the couple's side quest twice because I didn't get the postman's hat the first time. With that being said, I experienced most of the dungeons raw because I feel like that's the best way to experience it. Heart pieces I used guides for, and that took forever. Dear God. My last 2 heart pieces were things I thought I already did. And I bet a lot of you know that pain where you're trying to look for the last thing of something, and I literally combed through every single mission to find this last heart piece, and I couldn't. I was so confused. I was like, I did this, and I went through literally all of them in like one sitting, and I was like, I have no clue where this is. I don't know what I'm missing. Turns out one of the ones I was missing was you had to beat a minigame as a Goron, to which when I first played like the day before, I did it just as Link. And so the fact that you had to do it as a Goron threw me off. I was like, oh, I didn't know that's how you get the heart piece. And then secondly is the dog race. That was my very last heart piece that I had to get before I had to go up to the moon, was the dog race, because I didn't know you had to get 150 or more rupees when you win a dog race. And so I was just betting 10 the entire time that I did it. And the first time I did it, I thought I got the heart piece, and I was like, oh yeah, it's the dog, whatever. But I didn't realize that I skipped over the fine print in the guide that said you have to win 150 or more rubies. And so I spent literally hours before that digging and combing through every other place before I went to the dog race. And I was so sad and disappointed, but also happy that I finished it. The one time I used a guide was in the temple for the stone temple. Reason being is in the first 3 rooms, when you go into that basement room with the lava, I didn't realize that Tattle goes up, and she's like, oh, it looks like there should be light coming through this hole. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be really cool. Originally, when I was doing it, it was nighttime, so I was like, oh, I got to make it day. I made it day. What happened was there was no light, and so I was super confused, and I stood around for countless hours, like, combing through, like, where can I actually go here? Eventually, it turns out in the floor above you, because the way that it's laid out is you have a floor up here, and then you have the lava room down here, is you actually have to bomb the floor. Like, there's a little tile area. You have to bomb that and then go downstairs, and then the light shows because it goes through the hole that you created. I didn't know about that because I just looked at the floor and was like, oh, that's just a pattern in the flooring. It was something like that where I was like, shoot, well, it didn't look like it was breakable. It just looked like a pattern. Because there is, in that floor, there is another pattern a little bit over where there's a little bit of grass. And so I was like, oh, this is just for looks. I didn't realize it was like an actual functional thing. The next thing that happened was in that lava room, I didn't realize you had to beat all of the 4 statues in one sitting. Because I originally beat the first 2, then I blew up the thing, came back down, shone the light on the block. Then I got the chest with the map in it, and then I killed the 2 like stone things next to the chest. And then I was like, huh, that's weird. There's no key because I need a key to get into the next room. And it turns out you're supposed to beat all 4 of them. And every time you go back into that room, all the enemies reset. So I ended up using a guide once on the stone temple. But besides that, all the other, temples and experience was relatively smooth. And the temples were really cool. I love the innovation that they used. And I would say my favorite temple out of all of them has to be the stone temple, just for the sole fact that when I first played through Majora's Mask as a kid, I played through the water temple, I kid you not, like 5 times because I thought I would save and then I didn't save, and so I had to redo it, and then I beat it and I thought I saved but I didn't. The water temple haunts me to this day, and the fire temple also, or I guess ice temple because it's in a mountain, but the ice temple, that one I also had to use a guide for, but that's because I forgot how to activate the pillars, the pillar slabs. So what happens is in the ice temple, what ends up happening is you press a button and this giant pillar erects from the ground, and there's little rings on it, and you're supposed to knock out those rings. Well, originally when I had gone up there in my recent playthrough, I rolled and I hit the ring and nothing happened. So I was like, I feel like that's supposed to get knocked out. That's weird. And it never occurred to me, maybe I should punch it instead. And so I sat there for so long being like, am I missing something? Where do I go? How do I get to this place? I had to use a walkthrough, and I was like, oh, I just punch it. So it was small things like that where Tattle would have definitely been useful had they coded Tattle to say something a bit more towards those mechanics. And a lot of the failures and blunders on my part really just come down to reading. Like when I'm going through the guides, I did not know that you could create your own song through the Scarecrow and summon him. And that was even through reading the Scarecrow's line of dialogue itself. Because I thought originally he wanted to dance in double time or slow time, because that's what he originally gives advice for. And then he kept saying that I was wrong when I would play it on my ocarina. And so I was like, well, what the heck? Turns out you use that bar that he gives you to create your own song to summon him at certain places to get heart pieces, which I was like, oh, okay, that would have been nice to read, because I can read. I'm literate. I'm from a country where reading is acceptable. The final area, the moon, oh my gosh, so good. Super fun. There was some tough stuff, but I really enjoyed it overall in reading the little Happy Mask Salesman spawn that are up at the moon. And they provide really nice, insightful things to think about, such as the mask of Majora is one made out of someone who was very timid and shy and has been misunderstood to such a point where they've started to warp their own reality to be something that's very aggressive and abusive. And it's very, very telling of, what is it to have friends? What does it mean to be truthful? What's it mean to be happy? And are you making sure that you're being true to yourself? And so with that, I highly encourage playing Majora's Mask. Great game. It's on the 3DS or the Nintendo 64 if you have that. If not, I don't think you can get it anymore on the Wii U. You might be able to get it on the Switch, but I'm not too sure. But I give Majora's Mask a solid 8 out of 10. I feel like that's a pretty okay score. It's not something to write home about. Again, there's a lot of flaws with it being such an older game, but story-wise, amazing. Love it. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Peace.